All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for what is our last Coding Live with Duet session. As always, I'm Aaron Wanjala, Java Developer Advocate here at Google Cloud. And of course, there's my colleague Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Mandel. If we haven't met before, I tech lead developer relations for gaming on Google Cloud. And we're going to write some code. We're going to do some stuff.
Yeah. We have, as always, a packed agenda full of cool stuff to show off. And Mark's going to be driving this time. So, yeah, Mark, why don't you take it away?
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. I will say as well, like if you have questions, please drop them in chat. We will do our very best to answer them to the best of our abilities. But we're going to continue on from what I was working on last week. So for those of you who weren't with us, a refresher. So there's a open source project. Maybe make that a little bit bigger. That's a bit better. Which is a demo that I wrote with a bunch of other people to build out a global scale multiplayer game infrastructure using both the best of our open source tools for gaming as well as our Google Cloud products. And we smushed it all together and made this really big multiplayer game. It actually looks, there we go. It's a deliberately not very good game per se, but it shows off our infrastructure.
Yeah, it's an awesome demo.
It's called Droid Shooter. It's not too bad. And actually, you know what I didn't do? And I'll show this again. I'll pop this open in a new tab. Beautiful. Make that nice and big. Look at that. It has a whole bunch of stuff in it from like GK autopilot clusters, GK standard clusters. We're using Spanner. We're using Cloud Deploy. We're using Cloud Build. We're using Terraform to deploy a bunch of stuff. But I want to focus in on one particular part of the infrastructure today that we started on last week that we were working our way through and doing some work on. So we have, as part of our infrastructure, is a bunch of services. We have a bunch of services for the backend infrastructure. They're all Go services. And they're all custom. They're all custom Go services. And they run on this autopilot cluster that's in US Central 1. And we're using Cloud Build to build all the containers. And we're using Cloud Deploy to get them into the containers. The magic fun thing that we need to do is we need to provide sort of information that's dynamic to those services. Like, where's your Spanner database? Maybe some information about where they're hosted or where they're talking to, all that kind of stuff. So we started talking about that last week. And the way that we had been doing it, I'll pop that over here. If I actually look at some code, the way we had been doing it with our Terraform code was actually
asking Duet the hard-hitting questions.
I mean, it's an important question. What kind of soup would you be?
Yeah.
I lean towards pea soup because I'm kind of thick.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of pot barley. Anything with pot barley.
Yeah. Like any kind of like salami and a thick pea soup. Anything you can put a ladle in that stays upright.
Fair enough.
But anyway, distracted. The way we had been doing this when we first started using Cloud Deploy, because there were some Cloud Deploy features we didn't have before, was, I'll show you where services GKE, which is actually where we'll be looking today. And I'll actually, you know what? I will do the Cloud Duet thing, which is explain this. And it'll actually show us a bunch of the stuff that it's actually doing. So this will create... and it does not want to work today.
Interesting.
All right. Well, let's try it this way instead. Let's go highlight
with the right click
and do it that way. That looks better. Beautiful. That looks better. Terraform config file. That is right. It creates a GK cluster. That's our autopilot cluster with some subnetworking stuff. The enable autopilot field is there. That is 100% true. We create some service accounts. Dope. We do not have a Cloud Run service. That is actually wrong. Interesting. Oh, actually, no, we don't. Yeah. That is close, but not quite. But there is a particular
part. I thought it was GKE. Yeah, no.
Yeah, got most of it right. But there's a particular part that I actually do want to look at.
But that is the point of this series. You know, we're supposed to, we're using it as we would normally, seeing
exactly
what signs and what gives us trouble.
Give me yeah. So here's a good example. So let's have a look at this one. Explain this. So here we go. That's exactly what's going on. So what we were doing before is we didn't really have a place to put config information. So for example, here it's a local file that what's the word I was thinking of? Okay, so what we have here is we need a config map for our front end, which is our front end service, which does all our authentication for our game. And there's like
generating local files based on templates to begin with.
Exactly. And as it says here, the configuration includes the service address, the client ID, a client secret, and a JWT key, for example. And Cloud Deploy didn't really have a very sophisticated way, is maybe the way I would put it, way of, or really, like, actually, it was really limited in its first thing in terms of like what you could dynamically change inside a Cloud Deploy template. I mean, you could do some Helm stuff. There was things. So we were like, okay, for this pass, what we'll do is we'll just generate files from a template with our local Terraform. And then that would generate our Cloud Deploy files, which is like our scaffold YAMLs and some of the YAMLs we'll look at, the resources that get deployed. And then, cool, we can go from there. But it's less than ideal. It means that we can't just run Terraform anywhere. And now Cloud Deploy has some new stuff, which is really cool.
And so, yeah, we started off by asking a couple different like reference questions, like, is there a cleaner way to do this? And we had a good kind of discussion with Duet acting as an expert in the middle.
Yep.
Landed on implementation and got most of the way there.
We did. And I took away some time to actually look at how we could do that. And there's this great thing called Cloud Deploy parameters. So what we're going to do is I'll look at what I did before, like what I did when we're offline, and then we'll just continue changing these out. I'm actually just curious. So I asked it what are, or I should probably say what are Cloud Deploy parameters. But it said the Cloud Deploy parameters block is the Terraform. Interesting. Oh, that's really interesting. So hold on.
Interesting.
No, there is no Cloud Deploy parameters. There is that is not in here, but I think so. It's interesting. So it's doing this thing where it seems to be inferring that because I'm in a Terraform file, what I want to know about is like this Cloud Deploy parameters block, which is interesting. So let me just push that to the side because actually that might lead into. So what I actually have done is for one of the services, which is the profile service, I've already done this work. And what that looks like, where are we? Where's our pipelines? Perfect. Here we go. See, there is no Cloud Deploy, but it's kind of close.
No, it's not the valid resource name, but the concept seems close. Yeah,
the concept seems close. Here we go. So let's explain this. Okay, so does it recognize what it's actually done? Services pipeline block. It's a Cloud Deploy delivery pipeline. So we'll actually have a look at that. So it's a pipeline that pushes code out to our autopilot cluster specifically. Location of the delivery pipeline, says some information about it. The stages. So you stages within a Cloud Deploy delivery pipeline is like the number, the groups of clusters that may be either singular or groups of clusters you're going to deploy to. There's only one step. That is true. The deploy parameters block defines the parameters that are passed into the deploy step. So that's actually correct. That's cool. In this case, the parameters are the project ID, the spanner service account email, the spanner instance ID, and the spanner database ID. So that's actually very accurate. These are basically where we store the values we want to use in our templating later on.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Okay, so I'll actually show you. Yeah, so we step through it here. So we have a pipeline. It points to our services deploy target, which is basically that autopilot cluster we had before.
Mhm.
You just add these deploy parameters, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And it basically just becomes a repository for whatever information you want to use for templating later on.
Much easier than our previous approach of publishing, like generating and then like pushing
Like a YAML file.
an end file to a storage bucket. Yeah.
And I'll show you what that ends up looking like. So profile, here's our config YAML. This is one of the files that we have in our scaffold YAML that we could maybe bring these together. And here, I'll show you. Let's see if we do that. I'm actually very curious to see if it can explain the parameters. Because you'll see that from param in that. And I wonder if it will pick that up. That is an interesting question. All right, so it explains the config map. So we have a config map with a bunch of data in it, which is basically spanner information.
It seems to have dropped those as just, comments like any other.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to know, but it is interesting that it goes, this data will be used by the profile service to connect to this data database. Did we write that? How does it know that?
That sounds like an inference.
That's okay. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
And I'm wondering, now that you have an example somewhere in the code base to pick from, I'm assuming that your generation of the other services you want to use the deploy parameters with will be especially smooth. We've seen that in other use cases with Duet. So
yeah, because if I look in the deployment, like I have no idea. Like there's the service, and its name is profile.
Yeah, that is strange.
Ooh.
these are the kind of spooky interactions that we keep running into during this series.
We're like, how does it know these things? All right, yeah. Cool. So let's. What do I want to do first? Okay. So all right, so that one's done. So the next trick is actually to keep on rocking and do some more. Okay, so let's just close this for now. I might come back to it for help if I need it. So we have this ping discovery. Ping discovery is kind of neat. I actually kind of like this thing. Ping discovery. So as a common thing you would do in a multiplayer game is we have clusters all around the world, right? But you need to know how much latency you have between each of those clusters for you as a player to send as part of matchmaking.
Right.
So we have this ping service that's a part of the Kubernetes, it's part of the Agonis installation into our Kubernetes clusters. So each cluster has this ping service. It's basically just a UDP echo service with some rate limiting stuff. But there's a tricky problem. If I have 6 clusters, how do I know where all my services are? I need some kind of discovery mechanism.
Right.
So basically wrote a little thing that actually queries. Oh God, what does it query? You know what? Let's actually have a look. Does
it just look like the regions that each cluster is deployed in?
Yeah. So it actually, here we go. Let's actually define a go route. It looks at forwarding rules.
Okay.
Inside Google Cloud itself, because that was the easiest way I found to look cross-cluster across an entire project for a very particular set of endpoints.
Interesting. Okay.
So where are we? What is it? How does it? Here we go. And so it creates a list ping services. So it has like particular permissions that it needs so that it can actually do that. And I think there's a custom IAM service account that gives you all the permission for that. It's interesting that here we go. What does this file do? Is it doing better? Didn't like it before when I just right clicked. Oh, there we go. That's better. That's perfect. Better. That prompt was better. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even understands the frameworks. Okay, that's really cool.
Wow.
What the? Does it understand the readmes? It's got to look at the readmes. This service is responsible for discovering the endpoints of the UDP ping service.
Huh. I wonder, is that pulled directly from the README? Creates a new GIN router? Yeah, wow.
For each region, like if I ever look at, that's the right hand side of that is really small, but
well, I mean, you use UDP service for some names.
But I guess it's discovery. Yeah, that is accurate.
That is
wow. Yeah. The main function is recognizes Jin, the web framework. So that's the Go framework we're using. All the routes it's using, TTL cache, that's exactly what it's doing. So it's like, I think once a minute it just refreshes where all the ping endpoints are.
Can you ask it something like, I wonder if it's reading comments. Like, can you ask like, how does it avoid getting multiple hits from the same location? Because I saw that in the comments somewhere. Just want to test its knowledge of this, because that was a pretty impressive result. But
yeah. Oh, interesting. Oh, here we go. The find. I think there is. Oh, that's interesting. I have a bunch of different mechanisms to find the current project ID, depending on where they are, or if you're running it locally, it goes and looks at other things. What does it do? It does a bunch of stuff. Oh, like, yeah, default credentials. All right, so let's ask. Okay, how does it find the project name? Let's see if it. Oh,
that is impressive.
All right, which is like that's First, it tries to do the CFS account credentials. Absolutely true. Second, it assumes the local machine has no source scripts to return blank. The local machine is running gcloud. What? So that's actually not documented.
No,
that is
just written. That's just inferred from the code.
I mean, there is that. There is that comment. It does read that for sure. And it does indicate there are comments on there. Okay, actually, I lie. But
actually, we have a relevant comment here or question. If we have any lessons learned about prompting to get results we're looking for, and I think actually this is a pretty good example of what we've learned. Generally, if we ask a vague question and it doesn't quite pick it up, we'll highlight what we're talking about and right-click and ask it to explain. That's been pretty effective. As long as I don't need like class path context, I prefer to go over exactly the lines I'm talking about in the editor and pass those to Duet. How about you, Mark?
I would agree with that. I'm trying to actually think if I've used the explain stuff in outside of the live stream per se. I've definitely used it. Be like, oh, what is that thing, or how do I do that thing again? And usually, I think I 100% agree. Like, I usually start fairly I'm like just conversational about how I do it, and then if I need to get more specific, I'll get more specific. If it's an overloaded term or something that I need to be very specific about what it is.
Yeah. No, agreed. And rather than class path, I meant to say like current file, like current directory, working directory, I guess.
Okay. All right. Sweet. All right. So that's that. So you can actually, as a thing, you will see this is one of the generated files, which is the service account YAML. This is, like, you can see the service account that comes through. It's got the right IAM permissions. So we can pretty much do very similar to what we did before with our Terraform stuff. So let me go back to our pipeline pipelines. So it's GKE, services, ping service account. That's the one. Okay. So first of all, we can delete this file. Don't need it anymore. Bye-bye.
No, that's progress.
That's progress.
Deleted.
Yeah. Let's find the Terraform where it gets generated. Ping.
Was it ping service discovery? I immediately forget the file name as soon as you deleted it.
Exactly. So did I, actually. Let's go local. Here we go. Ping service account. Perfect. Local file. Ping. Yep, that was the one, because we don't have that file anymore.
No.
That's yeah, we get rid of that. Okay, so get rid of you. Progress. Oh, let's actually also create a new branch. What did I call it before?
If you want a feature brancher, we could say like cloud deploy parameters.
Yeah. It's called that. Okay, so that's a good one. And then in our service itself, discovery, service account. Okay, so that's currently ignored. Don't want to ignore it anymore. So let's find, where is that being ignored? Probably Oh, it's getting ignored. All right, cool. No, you can delete that because we don't actually need that anymore because that's no longer getting ignored. And we now have a service account YAML. Dope.
Perfect.
Okay, so what do we want this to look like? I think I just called this project in the other one just as a default name. Now, if I type from param, is it going to recognize it?
I wonder if we just highlight the actual like marked up comment, if that'll key Duet to explain what this is doing.
I actually was kind of hoping it was going to do the completion
For you, yeah.
for me as I have it in here. Right, from crown colon. I'm just going to go on. Nope. Oh, that's
What's the syntax isn't quite right, but
again, I got too many things again. I tried to create the extra stuff. What is the actual? Yeah, it's not right at all. We'll call it ping. Yeah, that's better. Service account. Okay, so at least it gave me like a nice. I have found that it does like nice naming completion on stuff or like text completion on stuff when I'm doing like documentation, especially.
That's fair. Yeah, it's been pretty good for even like field generation when I've made objects with it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, actually, you know what? I've been using underscores for my params.
Yes.
Apparently, I'm using email. Why am I using email? Ooh. I don't
You'll have to have a word with passmark.
I don't like it. We're going to change it. I don't like it. That's all right. That's what Terraform stores. We'll just change it for us.
Perfect. But you're still going to use email for the value. You're just going to call it account.
Yeah, I'm just going to call it account. Well, it's the email field from the resource.
From the full. Okay, fair.
Yeah. But let's get back to here. I just realized I shouldn't have done something. But anyway, it's fine.
And I wonder, now that we have the actual from param comment fully there, I wonder if Duet will recognize like what is this doing?
Oh, like
if we just highlighted either on this one or the previous one, just asked it like what is the from param comment doing here?
Oh, okay. Rather than yeah. All right. So what is the from param doing here? Let's see if it recognizes it. I have a feeling it might not. But let's have a look. The from param tells Terraform to replace the value of the ping service account variable. It's actually not quite true, but close.
Okay.
Thinks it's a Terraform template, which is not actually true, but decent-ish. It does recognize that it's templating, though.
Somewhat close, yeah.
Yes, that's the ping service account. All right, so now we go up to our pipeline. Now, I did something a little bit silly, I just realized, which was I deleted the other Terraform config, which shows us how to look up the information that we need. It's fine. It's fine.
That's the mark of progress. You know?
Exactly. It's fine. All right, so let's break this out a little. So we have this pipeline. We just need to add more stuff to it. So let's actually break this out. Yes, spanner details. Perfect. That's exactly what I want it to be. So I really like that. Like it's like, oh, this is spanner. I'm gonna call it the ping. Oh, go away. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was bang on. Except for is the field name slightly off? Ping essay. It seems to really,
yeah, I think
it seems to really like ping essay. It's trying to suggest that to you, and you're not taking the hint.
No, I'm not taking the hint at all. That's still pretty. That's pretty impressive.
That is awesome
because that is the same as not that one. Pings. Actually, you know what's funny? That's what it should be.
Yeah.
Because that's what we have in this one as well. It was telling me that my variable names were wrong. It's like you messed up.
About it. Yep.
Yeah. I do need to find the ping service account. All right, so let's have a look. Services GKE, ping discovery SA. There we go. Standard code completion helps me here.
Perfect.
Okay. That was pretty good.
All right. So that is that it to get like feature parity with the end file that we were working on last session? Like,
yeah, that's kind of it. And it's one of the things that I think it's actually kind of cool about this, if we actually look at our scaffold YAML, like none of this changes.
mm-hmm.
We're just passing in, here we go, profile. It's the same file, spanner config YAML, right? And Cloud Deploy does the templating for us.
Amazing.
Which is kind of cool. I'll tell you what, why don't we, let's actually just apply it. Let's
see if it's valid.
We'll format first. We'll Terraform validate, do the right things. Everything's valid. Is that text big enough? You can read that?
Maybe a little bigger.
Maybe a little bigger. If anyone in chat is like, hey, something's too small, they can't read it. Yeah, definitely let us know.
Yep.
All right. I'll do a Terraform apply. Oh, actually, I should have tried to auto approve, but that's okay. It'll take a second. And I can actually show you where all this data ends up living on Cloud Deploy. Because it's kind of cool.
Huh.
This will take a minute. In the meantime, also, if anyone has questions and wants to drop them in chat, please feel free.
Yeah, please. I wonder, we could see the resources being destroyed in the console again, but I wonder if there's anything with Duet that that I would want to ask about the project. We haven't really created any brand new resources though.
No, we'll be editing the deployment, the deploy pipeline. And we've added an extra, parameter. I don't know, just want this to be running in the background while we go see some other stuff. I really should show the auto approve. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a bunch of, as you can see, there's a bunch of infrastructure here. That is like, how do I look at it?
You know, one thing I'm wondering about, can Duet understand Git statuses and tell me what my current working directory on the feature branch is working on?
What Git branch am I on? There's a faster way of doing that. I am not on the main branch. It is wrong.
Well, there it is.
No, I'm not. You are wrong. You are correct. Well, oh, Duet.
There it is.
Nice try. Bless your heart.
Honestly, yeah, they might.
In this case, I was unable to determine the branch name from the context of the conversation.
No, that's fair. Honestly,
yeah,
it may be a little bit difficult for it to just because we have to run Git status commands for you, and that's a lot of power.
Okay, so we can see our plan here from Terraform, which is actually not a bad thing. We're just updating our deploy parameters. We'll see that ping service account is replacing, spanner service account is replacing spanner service email. And it has that data in it there too. So I'm just going to apply that, let that run in the background. And I'll actually show you what this looks like. I think this is really neat. I love infrastructure stuff. And we'll actually deploy this stuff too and make sure that it actually works. Which is also a really good point.
Yep. In that spirit, actually, I'm assuming you have tests for the for this service, especially for the ping service. I'd be interested in those tests.
No. Nope. It's a 10-bar project. We just run the game. But we can go have a look.
Yeah.
We can go look, make sure the workload works. So the easy way that I found, if we're looking at it, so this is our delivery pipeline. We have one of several pipelines. We'll probably make that a little bigger as well. I'll pop that over for a sec. The easiest way I've found to get this information out is actually just to look at the YAML, which apparently doesn't scroll very well. There we go. Oh, look, it's done. That was quick. But you can see here we have the deploy parameters, spanner instance ID, spanner service account, the ping service account. Oh, and it just updated.
Just updated again.
That was interesting.
Yep. It just definitely moved stuff around.
It definitely moved stuff around, right? That was
Yep.
weird. Okay, cool. But you can see all the values that you have available to you right in that YAML. Oh, it just keeps moving it.
I wonder
Okay,
if, yeah, it's just an unordered list, I'm assuming, in the YAML.
So it may just be querying it every so often, and it comes back as like, because it's a map, it's unordered in some way, shape,
Yep.
or form. That would actually
Yep.
make a lot of sense. Let's trigger a rollout. Let's actually deploy the new code. Let's create new one. CD services.
And I guess as long as we see that ping service account parameter.
Yeah,
that's good.
and we can actually go introspect that data once it gets in there too, which is kind of nice.
Wait a minute, is that email right? Ping, because it started with ping SA on line 17 there.
Yeah, that I think that is actually correct.
Maybe that's why it was pulling ping SA as the variable name so consistently. Interesting.
That's a really good point. That would make a certain amount of sense. Certain inference that's picking up there. Yeah, because we've used SA, I think, as like the name for all the service accounts, as just like the beginnings of them. Interesting.
I was just trying to keep you on convention.
There we go. As a total aside, I think that's a redundant naming scheme. Yes. They're service accounts. You don't need to say they're service accounts in the service accounts.
Yeah.
But I digress.
We're wasting 3 characters per variable name.
That like, it bugs me a little.
Yeah.
Like, it just bugs me a little.
Very fair.
All right. So the other thing I just want to mention real quick. In fact, we can actually look at it. I'll tell you what. I'm actually services. We have where is it? Cloud build. There we go. We have a cloud build YAML, and this builds. Well, actually, I'll show you exactly what it does. So apparently, I'm just gonna try it again. If I click explain this, I think it doesn't do anything because it says explain this, and there's no context there. Oh no, this time it worked. Yeah. Okay. Weird. First step is to build the images for the services. Totally right. And then it says, it keeps thinking we're deploying to Cloud Run. It is wrong.
Interesting. It's also suggesting container repository, container registry.
Which is, this is done using GCR. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's using the SDK builder. That's one of the tools. What is that?
Oh, you do use GCR here. It's not artifact
registry. Yeah. Most of the cloud builds, I think pretty much all the cloud build steps that are like officially hosted come out of GCR because that's where they first started.
Perfect.
And then we use cloud. There's our deploy. All right, so it's not too bad. So there's our actual deploy. And then, again, the nice thing about everything they've done here in cloud deploy is none of this has changed because it's all sorted in the deployment pipeline, which is super nice. So I'm actually going to run that gcloud build submit. That usually takes about 5 minutes or so that can run in the background and we can do some other things.
Fair enough.
We can actually see. Actually, we can see that in process if we so desire as well.
Yeah.
Let's pop over to our dash.
And you said there's an interesting place to see the parameters once they've been deployed.
Yes, we can go introspect it. Now I can never remember. Oh, just show me history then. There we go. So that's currently queued. I don't think it actually shows the logs. Yeah, no, we've got logs storing elsewhere. So it'll take waiting to run. There it goes. So it'll build out all the stuff. It's not particularly exciting. It's just a bunch of logs.
Fair enough. Do you know if Duet is enabled in the logs for this? Because I've seen it in, if you go back to like a previous build, does it? I saw there's like a security analysis, but there's also sometimes like log summarization by Duet.
Ooh, I haven't seen
know if it's here.
Do I have Duet enabled on this project? I do. Okay, that's a start.
Well, that would do it.
So you're saying, what do these logs say?
At least, yeah, the use case that I've seen before was like inside the log explorer. There's like a...
Oh.
Wow.
It is wrong. It is wrong. That's not right. It says there were errors. There were not. I don't know if it has context in there.
Build successful, yeah.
Yeah, we for these cloud builds, we're not putting the logs in cloud storage, which is where they usually go. We're just putting them in the cloud logging because it's a little less storage, a little less easier. I wonder if
I
it
could
has
see that would
access,
mess
but
with the
I don't know.
context.
Maybe I'm wrong. That's running. It usually takes not 56 minutes. It usually takes a minute and 51 seconds. I think that looks about right. Nope. Services is 4 minutes and 8 seconds. So we can let that run in the background.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes.
Yes. And yes, I do have a cloud build process that does take 4 hours and 53 minutes, but we won't be talking about that today.
Wow.
Yes. It creates a 32 gigabyte container image.
Is that like when you're having it like actually render?
Okay, so apparently we are getting into it.
Yeah, I mean,
so actually, hold on. Here we go. Since we're waiting for stuff,
I'm so curious. Yeah, Unreal. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. Explain this. Let's see how well it recognizes what it's actually doing. Yeah, build and deploy the Unreal Engine project. That is 100% accurate. So first step is to clone the Unreal Engine repository using a personal access token because it's not open source, but you can get access to it under certain licensing terms. And then we build it using a Docker build, and then we push it to container registry. So actually that part is not particularly impressive. That is pretty much clone, build. This file. Actually, it's not too bad. If anyone's interested, there's a website called Unreal Containers. You can go dig it up. Also, the Unreal project itself has its own container page. It's well worth reading. For reasons we had to build our own custom ones. I'm not going to bother about that, but you can actually do it. You can either use theirs depending on what it is you're doing. But this builds out actually our Unreal client and our game server.
Very, very cool. In a
that.
non-interactive Debian container.
Yep.
And then do you have to? Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense.
There we go. These directories, in the final image. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Does some cleanup before moving to. So we do a build step, and then we do the actual one. It actually sees that, and then copies over just what is needed, which is the Unreal Engine section. Otherwise, it's really big. It's like hundreds of gigs.
Interesting. And this is definitely a rabbit hole, but if you wanted to scale horizontally, if you wanted to spin up another server after you've already like gone live, taken a whole bunch of users, would you need to trigger the same build process again?
Okay. So what this actually is for is to build an Unreal Engine container so that we can compile the game client and server.
Oh, so it's not for like a release.
It's not even for a release. It's for builds. It's 100% for builds. Huh. Yeah.
Interesting.
So when we look at Game Cloud build, here we build the Unreal. Here we go. We'll explain this since we're playing. Let's see how well it describes it. The first step is to build the Unreal Engine image. Right. So if it's it didn't pick up on the fact that we do have a thing in there that says like if you have the image already, don't rebuild it. But if you don't like do that, but that's fair enough. We have a game launcher written in Go. It doesn't resolve substitutions. So the build image is the Unreal image. So it doesn't like infer that, but that's still kind of interesting.
Yeah, but still the variable names are interesting and or legible, yeah. And this is like a credible explanation of the process.
Yeah, 100% right. First, final steps to deploy the game. Right, it pushes it out using Cloud Deploy. We actually use Cloud Deploy as well to deploy all our game servers.
And how close is this analysis to the README? Not
probably
very
better. Probably better. Wow. Probably actually better.
Honestly, that might be a good side project to have Duet like in a shell service. Just generate readmes for your like the main resources in each one of your Terraform projects folders.
Exactly. All right, that looks like that was done. So that's finished. So a quick look over at Cloud Deploy. Delivery pipelines. we had a deploy, and actually I can see already that it worked. So there's a deploy, successfully deployed. Beautiful. Global web service, it's green. That's good. What we can do as well, which is quite nice. We'll see how well it'll actually render. Let's have a look. Artifacts. So what do we do? We did ping discovery. That's the images. Oh, it has the deploy parameters down here.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, nice.
I don't see it.
Okay,
oh,
that's
no, I do see it. There we go.
yeah, right down the bottom. That's actually very cool. I didn't realize that was actually there.
Very cool.
Oh, that's so cool. All right, cool. And then here we go. And then actually we can see. Oops, stop doing that. We actually see renders of like the scaffold and the manifest. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I've definitely dug into some of the file. Yeah, there's some. Oh, you know what? Actually, yeah, I do know. Let's pop back over again. Here we go. Yeah, manifest. That's what we want. So you can actually get out like what did it actually spit out in YAML if you want to.
Interesting.
Which is, I believe this is the manifest. I'm fairly sure I got this right. Let's have a look. Oh, and it's going to download. Let me just check in a temp folder.
I wonder if it'd be visible here if you went to the version history at the top.
I think it's that one. Here we go. There we go. Can I make that bigger? How do I make you big? Fonts. There we go. Beautiful. But yes, we can see if we scroll down.
Maybe a little bigger. There we go.
Dang. We look for, was it ping SA? There it is. There's our service count. Boom.
Very cool.
And I'll also triple check these workloads. Make sure everything's up and running. Then we can continue on our merry way. Now, let's just give me, no, I just want the default. Oops. Beautiful. Just show me the default things that are in here. Profile service. Oh, sorry, ping discovery, not profile.
Right. And we have 3 versions deployed, 3 pods.
Beautiful. Looks pretty good. Revision 11 as of today. And where I am, it is around 11:07.
Yep.
But close enough. Awesome. That's up and running. Cool. Quick look at our logs.
And which regions do we have ping discovery running in?
It'll be just the US Central, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see any logs. Why no logs? It may actually not output any logs. I can't remember anymore. Okay. All right. That's cool. One done.
Success.
Let's keep going on our merry way then. Actually, I'm going to commit this.
Yep.
Just do this is where are we? This is migration of the ping service. Ping discovery service. And I'll push that up so that I have a copy somewhere. Okay. Moving along. Let's pick another one. What's going to be more? Let's do front end.
Let's do it.
I have no recollection of what this is doing. Okay. Oh boy, this has got all kinds of goodies in it.
Yeah.
All kinds of goodies.
Definitely.
Definitely all kinds of goodies. All right. So it's got discovery on like the profile service, the ping service. Interesting. All right. So let's have a look. That's the end result. Mm-hmm. Some of this might be, oh, it's using a deprecated field, but that's all right. We'll worry about that later.
Plenty to work on. I wonder if Duet knows why that's deprecated.
Ooh. Let's just go explain this and see if it picks that up. So IntelliJ would be the one that's telling me that it's deprecated. I know that.
And usually it has great backing for why it tells me that. It's straight from the Java docs or whatever the context is.
Yeah. Type is load balancer, blah, 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 ports. The load balancer IP specifies the IP address that will be used for the service load balancer.
Okay. And what if we ask about it, like just say, I see that load balancer IP is deprecated. Do you know why that is?
Are there any? Okay, yeah, I see the load balancer IP is deprecated. Do you know why that is?
Oh, you put so.
Thank you. Field is deprecated because it's not supported by all load balancers. Oh, okay. The Google Cloud load balancer does not support the load balancer IP. Yes, it does. You can use the load balancer source ranges field. Apparently, that's better. Okay. But I don't want the sources. Actually, for this particular thing, we have what we did do is, I know for this specifically for the front end, because it's a public IP address, I'm gonna end up deleting this and recreating the IP address after this is we're done here. But since we've done this work, what was I going to say? We create a static IP so that we know what it is, and then we can hand it off to a bunch of people so that they can go look it up.
That makes sense, but good to know. Works. I like those little use cases where I can just stay in the IDE and keep my workflow kind of focused on what I was doing, rather than letting this like curiosity question take me out of the browser, go to Stack Overflow or something, and then have to come back.
Yeah, I agree with that. This is also super handy because like I didn't write this front end code. I think I did some of the config stuff, but like all the code is written by another guy, Nikolai. I think he did all this. All right, so let's have a look over here.
And one more thing, actually, this might actually sway me to like the ability to ask Duet to explain chunks of code might actually sway me towards doing code reviews in my IDE rather than
interesting
on GitHub. Because I can get all that context on services that I don't have to like pick through myself.
Yep.
But that's
interesting. Okay. Remind me as we're heading towards the end of the session, or if we have a good stop point, maybe we'll go look at some like I've got some PRs like in queue. We could go try that out on. That's a cool idea. I like that a lot.
Yeah, we could try that.
Okay, so I'm not gonna delete this one because it's a bit more complicated than the other one.
There's a lot here.
So I'm gonna
and a couple of these seem like some things that I might actually like. They'd be fine as parameters, but I may put them into Secret Manager. Is that something that is like parameterizable in Terraform? I'm not actually sure.
We could put some data in Secret Manager if we wanted to do that. For those who aren't familiar, that's like where you put passwords and stuff.
But I don't know if that's necessary for a demo project like this, you know?
Yeah, it's a demo project. I mean, it's a good question. And I probably should regenerate all this stuff after we've done this thing. But I mean, it's a test. Actually, I don't have to. The good thing is because it's all test OAuth stuff. It's only particular email accounts can access test apps, so it's all safe. That was a good question. But what was I going to say? So that's not, yeah. So some of this could go in Secret Manager, and the way I would probably do this if it was in Secret Manager, I would have the front end service go query Secret Manager while it was running, and probably do something like that to go get that data in some way, shape, or form. Depending on the level, right? Like you could always put it in environment variables. I'm just trying to think. I feel like there's ways and means of getting Secret Manager data into a Kubernetes cluster in like a different way and have it show up in environment variables or something. That I'll leave that to someone who knows security better than I do.
Yeah. Same.
There's ways and means, but that is a good question. I'm gonna just paste this in here because that's a little better. Now, I think we're just gonna put some dummy data in here. The interesting thing is actually the format is
Yeah, that's really similar. So you could even do that on mass if you wanted to.
that is true. I could, but I'm lazy.
Fair.
And I really want it to. There we go. I wanted to do that.
There we go.
I wanted to do that. All right.
I've never tried to get Duet to do suggestions while in multi-carat mode in IntelliJ. I don't know if that works.
I don't know if it will. That is a really good question. I'm gonna put front end in front of that too. Thank you. So it does, like, it picks up little things like that I actually just adore. Like, I don't know if you saw that. Like, I was checking front and it was like, oh, you want to call this also front end? And it's a tab completion. I actually find that super nice to get going. Now, interesting. So this is probably an interesting one in that in this template we actually had it in the middle.
Yeah, you don't want like it to just replace it. You want it to interpolate like inside.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that with Cloud Deploy templates.
Interesting.
I think it has to be the whole value, which is fine. We can handle that. So let's give it a dummy. Just call it service address. And then we'll say that's pretty close. Although, did I just mess something up? Did it give me the next line? Did it change my next line? I don't think it did. Callback. No, it did. It gave me.
It gave you another line. Callback URL.
That's not a thing.
It's the same as the host name, yeah.
Yeah, that's. It did too much. It did too much. So we'll need to do that when we. I'm not set up to run the demo at the moment either. So we're gonna have to go a little bit on faith with some of this, but it'll be fine.
Fair enough.
So front end service address, beautiful. Ping discovery JWT key. So we'll just call it JWT. Oh, look at that! Look at that!
Okay, exactly.
So it's picked up. Yeah, it's picked up. Like, okay, this is the pattern that you're using in some way, shape, or form. I'm gonna just keep doing that.
Yeah.
And then I want to call this front end JWT key. Yep, it just does that for me. Oh, lovely.
Correct casing and everything.
Okay, so this. Okay, I was reusing this IP address. We're gonna call it front end callback hostname. Oh, nice! It actually realized what that was, and then gave me a good name for that. I love that. And then we'll call this front end service address. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's because it's the address. That seems pretty good. Nice. Yeah, it's little. I feel like with Duet, it's the little things.
Yeah. And I'm getting to the point where when I'm working in like a non-Duet environment, I'm kind of like I'm kind of missing the like. For me, it is the like ask the chat use case that I missed the most.
That's the thing you use the most. I find I don't actually use that as much, but it's the sentence completion and the variable completion that for me is actually probably the biggest time saver. It is nice when you're like, how do I do, like, give me a big chunk of code?
Yeah.
Because often you still have to look through it, but it's just those little things where it's like, oh, here's a good variable name, or I see that you're doing this before, so I'm just going to make it easier for you to just tab complete this really fast. That saves on so much typing, which is just really nice.
Fair enough.
All right, so this I think we can now delete. Bye-bye.
Amazing. 2 out of 3. And wow, time is flying. We're already almost an hour. I can't believe that because it feels like we just
started.
Yeah.
That's all right. All right, so let's go back to our services GKE. Let's go with that first. Oh, I just did exactly the same thing again, didn't I? Yep, I absolutely did. Deleted the file that I don't remember what it was. Front end service something.
Front end service account? No, just front end service. Front end
Local file.
config.
Here we go. Services front end config map. That was the one. That was the one. That was the one. If we really need to see, we go services. We could say git
Local history too.
Yeah. Oh, that could work too. I'm just comparing branch conceits here. Yes, front end config YAML. Perfect. Okay, so that goes. Bye-bye. Don't need you anymore. Go away.
I'm surprised that when you delete, this is more just a JetBrains thing, but I'm surprised that when you delete that file, it doesn't run like a safe delete search to look at blocks that are.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Usually it does.
But I mean, I guess that's mostly in like compiled rather than interpreted workspaces.
But no, I've absolutely seen it do that.
seen it?
Oh, yeah, there he goes. Safe
Safe
delete
delete.
apparently is alt delete now.
That's why you're just a loose cannon. You're just hard deleting.
I'm going. Yeah, it's Wild West over here, just deleting files. That would actually be really nice to do. I should actually do that. That would actually be a nice way to do that. Just so I have that in there. No, you're just complaining about stuff that's like unquoted, and I don't know if I actually. All right.
It's the inspector's job.
Yes, it's just like you rascal. Stop doing that. All right, so we've deleted that. So we need some more parameters. Oh, I did the same thing again. All right, I'm actually going to undo that. Just because it's got where those things are.
I feel like we're short one. No, we have all of them. Never mind.
Yeah, we will actually have a second one because of that URL that we need to generate.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna cheat a little. I'm just gonna take that out because this is what I would do. And where are we? Pipelines. Where were we in here? Guys, pipelines. Nope. Game server pipelines. Nope. Open match pipelines. Nope. Where are you? Services pipeline. Yeah. Why do we call it Spanner? I just call it services.
Yeah.
It's better.
In honor of the first one we did.
Yes. Also, yeah, I think we wrote that early. All right, cool. So give me like a code block. Perfect. So I can just paste in the stuff that I had before. Now I don't know. I do that kind of thing a lot where I'm like, oh, here's some stuff I need. I'm going to paste it in over here. I'm wondering if that's going to change anything for how Duet responds.
Interesting. Maybe.
All right. So this is the front end. Config details. Config. I like config. Better word.
There you
go. Okay. So if we have a look in here, what do we have? We have a front end client ID. Does it know what that is?
Wow.
Go on. See if how that does. That's
3 out of 5.
That's close. So that's right. So where are we? Where are we? Wrong one. Front end client ID. That's right. Front end client secret. Yep. Front end JWT key. That's pretty good.
And the service address.
We need the service address. Actually, we need 2 more. Yeah, you're right. So we got front end service address. Ooh, actually, it looks like that might be right.
Yep.
And I will need a front end callback host name. That's wrong. I know that's wrong, but like, good try.
Pretty good batting average here.
Yeah. Front end service. Oh, I see. It's front end service. You know what? So this is interesting. We like it's Terraform. We should be really using snake case, like the underscore in the bottom.
Yeah.
We using
case.
Yeah, which we shouldn't be doing. And it's like you should be doing the right thing. I'm
It's
expecting you to do the right
you.
thing. Yeah. It's like I would get this right if you did your job correctly. That looks right. Service address is 100% correct.
It is. Nailed that
Nailed
one.
it.
And
Nailed
the
it.
last one,
The last one.
it's a Cloud Run problem again. The first
Yeah, I
resource
think so.
says Cloud Run service.
It's just wrong, but it's so close. Engine front end service address. That is correct. Except, yeah, I know. Oh no, that's right.
That's right.
Why are you complaining?
Is it supposed to be confused? Global address?
No, you don't know what you should be.
SSLIO, Slipio.
So Slip is this really nice, handy thing where if you just want to use an IP address and you don't have a domain, you can kind of just plug the IP address at the beginning.
Okay.
And because if you absolutely have to have a domain, this makes it easy for just demo projects. I'm spinning it up. I'm not going to have to create a whole like domain to put this under. I could just kind of use Slip for it. And so with the that looks like it should be right. I'm actually curious to see if Terraform. You got all the things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks like it should be all right. Yep.
It really does look right.
It does look right. All right, let's
Run it validate.
Terraform will format because format's good. Terraform validate. I can't remember. Okay, so that is not right. Undeclared resource. Also, I can't remember how Terraform. Google compute address.
It was computer address.
It got it a little wrong. Got it a little wrong. So if we validate that now, that looks pretty good. All right, how are we doing for time? All right, so this might be the last one we transfer over. Maybe we'll go over look at that pull request stuff in a bit.
Fair enough.
All right, but that looks pretty good. Nothing else to format. All right, let's apply it. I'm just going to auto approve it so we don't have to actually sit and watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I need to. Nope. All right. Fair enough. Let's do it. That. What? Isn't it -y?
Maybe it doesn't have to be before. Oh, well. Did they change that? Wow.
I didn't think so. What version of Terraform am I running? 150. I have no idea. Or it could just be that I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible.
Very, very cool.
Awesome. All right, so that'll run.
So does that actually close out, with that last change, does that close out the feature request that we had?
It does not. There are a whole bunch more I need to do.
Okay.
But it does get us moving in the right direction. And so,
yeah,
we use this pattern a ton. There's a OpenMatch is a matchmaking framework. So we have a gRPC service that has the same pattern as well. Actually, we have a bunch of different components for that come out that way. That I don't know if it actually changes. Does OpenMatch have files? Match function. There you go. There's a config. That's got some data in it that comes out of Terraform. We actually specify in Terraform how many players you can have in a match. That all the way through. It's like a config, just a little config, just config maps, a bunch of config maps. So there's a few bits there. There's a much more complicated one that we haven't even touched today. Actually, what is there in customization? What do we customize? That's nothing. Here this is interesting. So like OpenMatch is a matchmaking framework. It uses Redis. So we've got like, where is your Redis instance that you need to talk to? Actually, just press this up. Why do we have to do that by IP address? Anyway, that's interesting. One of those things. Agones itself is way more complicated. Oh, this is fun. Agonis is the thing that runs in the Kubernetes cluster that has like does all the game server stuff. It's got an endpoint. It's got this allocation API. It's like, give me a game server, please. We run that all through Anthos Service Mesh,
Right.
so that the matchmaking thing can talk to any number of clusters globally by a endpoint that's local. And Anthos Service Mesh, or Istio, is behind the scenes, does this nice thing where you can specify as part of the header, you can match on labels to services. So what we actually do is we have the label, which has the region where the allocation endpoint is. And so if you're like, I need a game server from US Central 1, put that in the request header. And so Istio knows to route it off to clusters in that region. So we do a bunch of customization to make sure in each cluster, it has the right thing. But we can do that in Cloud Deploy too. It's actually kind of cool. Cloud Deploy lets you do not only at the pipeline level, but also at the target level. So like for these clusters, do this replacement rather than for the entire deployment. But we won't get into that today. It's very cool.
Very, very cool.
There's lots of stuff. So yeah, there's more things to do, but we're moving through it. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
It hasn't been particularly onerous. I am very curious about why that has an IP address though. Anyway, I digress. Oh, very interesting. How's that doing? All right, that has completed.
Minute 47, not bad.
Not bad. Let's pop over to our Cloud Deploy. We have a look at our services pipeline. Have a look at our YAML file, which apparently recycles itself every so often. There's all that front end stuff. Totally random JWT key, which apparently just resets itself constantly. All right, so let's send that on its way. Give that 5 minutes.
Well,
that can
very, very cool.
Well, so
do we want to go to PR to review?
Yeah, right. I think that's a good idea. Let's see if I actually have that working. We will find out. All right, so let me commit this while that's running in the background. So commit migrate front end service.
I guess it is a little bit dependent on the way you usually interact with Git. I see you have aliases set up, mostly a command line user. Do you authenticate your IDE with GitHub?
Yes, I do. I do a little bit of both. I primarily do most of my stuff on command line. It depends what I'm doing, which is kind of funny. So I use OMIZSH, which has a bunch of Git aliases. So GP for Git push, GC for Git commit, all kinds of stuff. So I got very used to that. But one thing I will absolutely do is if I'm like writing my commit that I want to like go live, I will do it in my IDE because it has spell check.
Yeah,
it has like inspections that check the formatting that I'm like, this is what my format should look like. So I 100% do that. The other thing I like that IntelliJ does is if you're switching branches here, it usually has some like idea of what your workspace looked like when you were doing stuff, which I actually don't mind either.
Fair enough.
All right, sweet. Let's go. But actually, I don't know if I'm authenticated to GitHub on here, but we will soon find out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's what am I on? Okay, so I'm on. All right, so let's pop back up. Let's go to our Godness view, and let's just create a new window. I can work on there. So GPR is git pull rebase for exactly that reason. Let's make sure I'm up to date. Although, yeah, that's fine. Okay, cool. But let's have a look. See here. So if we go git. GitHub. View pull requests. That looks right. So Google for Games Iguanas. That looks right.
Then it should give you a nice little menu, and you can kind of pick which ones are open to review.
I don't. There we go. All right, look at that. I don't do a lot of review through IntelliJ. I must admit that.
Mhm.
I've done some in the past. One thing it does that I don't particularly like, that has been a bug over for a while, that as long as if you look at a file, immediately once you look at a file, it marks it as viewed in GitHub,
Oh yeah,
which
not
I
ideal.
find frustrating. Actually, I haven't looked at this one. There we go. Since we're looking at Terraform stuff,
Mhm.
this is some more Terraform stuff. So let's see what we got. So should, in theory, I actually haven't looked at it. In theory, it should be
And so yeah, we
relatively
still, as expected, it's just another buffer. We have full access. I wonder if Duet has the context. If you use the chat and say, "What's
Let's
going
see
on
what
here?"
happens.
I wonder if it'll pick it up.
It's popped back into the left.
Huh.
But that's okay. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna pop that out. View mode document. Nope. View mode undock.
Or float.
Float. There we go. I don't usually float a lot of stuff, but for this, I find it easier.
I do
All right,
like
so
float.
explain this. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
What
Icons.
is this patch doing?
It honestly, it may be in a weird spot because these diffs are like temp files. They're open in like the scratch buffer space.
Yeah.
So you may have to use like a.
It
like-
doesn't like. Yeah, I don't get that. Explain this.
Oh.
Right click.
You don't get the full context menu. Interesting.
Yeah, which is
But
interesting.
I'm assuming you can still copy that
You
and
could copy
then
paste.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Explain. Spot.
like that. Just explain.
Tell me more. Okay, so the variable resource in Terraform is used to define a variable that can use other parts of the configuration. Set of objects that have name, value, properties. Set sensitive values variable. Set of objects that you have a name, type, and value property with a value as a string and a sensitive byte. Okay, interesting.
I don't know about that explanation. It feels quite broad rather than.
Yeah, it doesn't. It does definitely doesn't have context, which we would see previously in terms of like where is this and what was it doing. Like it's literally just.
It has something. It's like in this case, the set values variable is this, but it doesn't really seem to be reading deeper into the rest of the file and the project and all that. So, okay, as long as you're like reviewing somebody's edition of like a discrete piece of code in a PR, you could see that.
Yeah, interesting. Oh, interesting. Okay.
I do see the magic button on the left appearing.
This one?
No, when you like hover over a line.
Oh, interesting. It doesn't. No, it doesn't do anything. It does show up though.
Interesting.
But I'm clicking it and it's like, no, I don't want to.
Fair enough.
But that's it. That was an interesting idea. I really like that as an idea.
I wanted to see it.
Because you're 100%. No, so what we could do though, that would work is if we're looking at this PR.
Are you thinking like
I could check it out locally and then go through it that way, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We have the hash there somewhere.
I
think it's in that little tag in the Piersa 727. If you click on that, I think it gives you that.
I had thought. View timeline. Oh, interesting. Okay. If I close that, go back to here. So this one, can I? No, I thought there was a way in this to check it out locally.
I think like at least you could grab the hash from the description there, but it might be easier to do it on GitHub.
I will do it. I will do it an easier way.
Yeah.
So if we know it's 33665.
Oh, there you go.
First, let's make sure it's. Oh no, we're in a different thing. I can use the GitHub PR checkout. Use the GitHub command line tool.
Ah, very cool.
And I like to call it PR/. That's my convention. Helm Terraform. That is like one of the two things I probably use the GitHub command line tool for. One
Yeah.
is checking out PRs, and one is cloning forks of repos, because it sets
That's
up the
cool.
upstream remotes really nicely.
Yeah, it's a good enough use case
Now,
to dip your toes in.
I will do one other interesting thing here. It does if I make changes to this and like want to push it, I can accidentally send it up to the maintainer, which I don't want to do.
Hmm.
So this is really hacky. You're gonna hate this for a bit, but I'm actually gonna do it. I'm just gonna edit my Git config.
Woof.
Because I like so I can unset the remote and the upstream, but like the push remote stays, and just like the easiest way is just doing this.
Wow.
It's just like awful, but it works.
I mean, it does
The
work.
workflows you learn.
Gets the job done.
Well, now it means that like if I look at my Git branches, right, it doesn't point anywhere. It's not going to upstream or anything like that. So I can't accidentally mess anything up.
Hey, it's safe.
It's not really.
And it at least it's isolated to, well, no, yeah.
Oh, it's isolated to my machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I can do like I can compare with branch. I can say like, how is this different from main, and that'll show me all my differences. Oh, it looks like it's not up to date with so it's not up to date with main. So now I can actually rebase against main locally, which means if I refresh this, now I can actually see the differences without worrying it. As Moby just said, don't ever show this to Sarah. Sarah's one of our wonderful teammates who does a lot of Git stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now I really want to show Sarah.
Yeah. I worry about the after effects of that, but hey.
It's just a text file. It's just a text file. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. Totally fine. It's fine. Be fine. Worst case scenario, I mess up some branches. It's not the end of the world.
True. It's almost always recoverable.
Exactly. It's just gets malleable. Okay, so now we have this version. Now we still can't, when we have a compare, we still can't
not in the diff buffers.
Not in the diff buffers. But if we go into where was that again? That was install Helm. No, install Terraform Helm 3 Helm.tf. There we go. So now we can explain this.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good to know. I didn't know that not all like context menu features are in the diff buffer.
I think that is really interesting. Yeah, I would. You know what? Duet team. Yeah, I'd like that in the review stuff. That would be nice. That'd be slick. This is not a terrible workflow. Don't hate it. I've definitely absolutely done this to do code reviews.
Yeah, and
so
in
that
most
I can
cases,
use the full IDE experience.
I kind of do have to try it out to be completely sure. So it's not like a big departure, but yeah.
And there we go. Okay, so it gives us all the variables, and so we can actually see. So where is that new section? There's all the set values.
I thought it was like 74 on.
Oh, it's in variables. That's right. Here we go. It's this stuff. Yeah, explain this. This is the. Explain this. There we go. Variables TF file. Also, please don't come for me for the fact that I'm using Helm to push stuff to Kubernetes inside a Terraform file. We'll ignore that for a bit. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, use the CD tool. It's here for demonstrative purposes. But clearly someone's using it. So cool. That's why we have a PR, and that is totally fine. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm remembering what this is. This was, we have a way to pass in values files, but they want to pass more values through Terraform itself and its variables. Interesting. Yeah, I actually don't mind that. That seems fine. But I'm not seeing. Okay, so what would be really cool is if you could be like, summarize what's changed.
That would be awesome.
That would be
And
slick.
you could do that in a conflict concept context because it
Yeah.
actually marks up the file.
All right,
But
we're gonna have to pitch that to the PMs.
we should. We really should.
Where does this get used? Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. So I don't know what this does. This is actually a really good use case here.
Yeah.
So
and actually, yeah, no special access is required to implement this because it's all just in the .git folder. Like it should be
in theory, right?
should be accessible.
Explain this particular bit of code. What does that do? So I assume what this is doing is like allowing you to basically set whatever variable you want inside this section. Let's see. A dynamic plot in Terraform is used to iterate over a list of values, create a resource for each value. All right, cool. So basically from the set values, set list values, and set sensitive values variables, and set a set resource for each value. Oh, interesting. Okay. Iteration, the content block defines the properties. Sensitive, we're talking about that as sensitive, so it will show up when in the output. That's not bad.
No, seems like a pretty clear explanation.
Yeah.
Do you remember if the sensitive versus non-sensitive explanation here is right? Because that seems...
I believe so. I'm fairly sure. The sensitive function in the content block is using my property as sensitive. This means the value will not be displayed in the output, the Terraform plan command. Yes. And I've definitely seen that before.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, so if you are putting something in a secret, it gets marked as sensitive, though I do find more often than not, like it's probably more if you're writing a module itself that like, hey, this variable that is sensitive that you're passing in, don't put it in the plan. But like if you're calling like a G-Cloud module to like put something in the secret manager, I think by default it usually has that as a part of the thing.
Oh, okay.
But that's kind of interesting.
Very, very cool.
All right. No. All right. So that gives us a bit of a path for if you wanted to have a look at a PR and use Duet for it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I want to have a look and see if our deployment finished correctly.
Right.
We've got a few minutes left. And if it didn't, well, then so be it. Let's have a quick look. Where are we? Releases. There we go. Again, that's today, and it deployed successfully. Fantastic.
Yeah, around 12 minutes ago. Perfect.
Yeah, look at that. And there's all our deploy parameters with all our stuff in them. And that all looks perfect. Hostname, there's my IP address slip callback. Beautiful. Okay. I need to, at some point, actually test that the game still works, but we'll get there. That's for another day.
Yeah. In the meantime, we've saved a good amount of time getting further down feature implementation. Test out a PR use case.
Let's have a quick look over at our actual cluster. Make sure that's all feeling hunky-dory. Any logs? Not that anything's happening there. Oh, yeah. Something happened. It's up and listing. Okay, it's not complaining too much. Cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. All right. Nice.
Yeah. Been a productive session.
Yeah. Thank you for hanging out with me while I did some work that I really need to do.
Thank you all for tuning in, of course. And if you have any more questions, happy to answer them before we sign off.
I also thank you to my Australian internet for being what I believe is probably the most stable it's been in a while. So I thank you. Thank you for that, Australian internet.
Yep. Yeah. And thanks for doing this, Mark. It's been a fun series.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the end. Oh, that's sad.
It is.
Well, maybe we will do it again in some kind of other scenario, or maybe here again. Not entirely sure.
We'll hammer that
But
out.
I was going to say before we run away, Aaron, where can people find you on the internet if they potentially want to see your face again?
Yeah, absolutely. I think well, I mean, Aaron MW here on X. That's one way. LinkedIn, I'm pretty responsive on there as well, especially if you have like a question that you want to send me. And I'm also on the YouTube channel, both this one and Google Cloud main channel, pretty frequently. If you put a comment and a question in a video that I've been in, especially like serverless expeditions, I will see it. I will answer, and message me anywhere. DMs are open.
Nice. I have a Linktree. Like what is that? linktr.ee/Mark Mandel. So just my name. And that'll link you to absolutely everything that I think I'm just about everywhere, like every single Mastodon instance. And like, we calling Twitter X now? Okay, fine. If you want to find me on Blue Sky, and yeah, you can usually find me in a bunch of places.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Well, then I think let's wrap up there. Aaron, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for showing me around your open source projects. Hopefully we come back here soon.
Yeah, that would be great. And okay, hopefully see you soon. If not, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
See you, everybody.
See ya.